And welcome back to the Outsiders Radio Show here with Clint Schweitzer. We have a very special guest today. It's been a while, but we have someone from the non-sports world. We have actor Tom Fridley joining us right now. Tom, how are you? How's everything going in your world, my man?
Everything's going great, Clint. It's nice to hear from you, man. How you doing?
Oh, doing wonderful up here. We're here in Kansas City. You're all the way out in Vegas, though, so it's winter time in mid-Missouri, so I think you're probably doing a little better than us at this point.
Yeah, what's your weather looking like? Is it really severe, real bad?
Well, we've had some negative degree days, believe it or not. I know you probably don't even know what that could be like, but anytime you're under zero, I'm out. I can't do this.
Well, I was born in Chicago, man. I was born in Chicago, so I know what it's like back there. It's just, and I was back east for a long time, and I just moved out. I lived in Washington, I lived in Washington, in Spokane for years, so this is like the warmest business. I'm spoiled right now.
So Spokane, how are you not in Vision Quest then? I didn't know that about you.
Well, yeah, I lived in Spokane. I don't know. I lived in LA all the time, but when I kind of left the film industry and kind of went up there just to kind of go, I got sort of just flipping houses. My buddy and I went up, we were into doing carpentry and stuff, so we were just doing that, and at that time we were like Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, is right near Spokane, if you know you went.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful there. My mom moved up there after she retired, and we went up and looked and said, wow, you could sell your house in LA and go up there and buy 4 or 5 of them. And, you could buy, you wouldn't believe it, for I don't think the first place I got was like $68,000. It was like a 4-bedroom house in a corner right near the water. It was like, if it was in LA, it'd been $1.5 million.
Wow.
And it was for $68,000. So it's like, oh, great, you could. Yeah, that was just kind of what it was. It was pretty.
Coeur d'Alene is beautiful. I've been there. I've been to Spokane. I could just knowing that you're from that area. I mean, how did you wind up getting it? Because I know your first acting job, I think, was 1978. But I mean, how did you wind up even getting into acting?
You know what? Actually, here's the deal. I was born in Chicago. Here's the way it goes. Born in Chicago. My mom was an actress. She always has been. My father was a high fashion photographer. So what happens is he was doing really well. He's like 25 years old. He goes and shoots. I don't know how old you are, but back in the day, they used to have kennel racing dog commercials where there'd be a dog food, and you'd see it was like cowboys that looked like the old Marlboro commercials. And there'd be issues. He went to Wyoming to shoot one of those things, hanging out the bottom of this airplane, doing this like out of an old J3 Cub or something. And when he came home, he told my mother, he goes, listen, I want to be a cowboy now. So we moved from Chicago to Wyoming, and I mean, we were 25 miles from town. It was like ridiculous culture shock. Lived there for 3 years, then moved to Palm Springs. Lived in Palm Springs, and my parents got divorced. Then I moved to LA. Lived in LA. That was the whole time of my career, all the way up from from 76 to 96 till about 2001. And then I moved to Coeur d'Alene. And then I actually moved back for a little bit, and then I moved to Vegas and back. But Spokane was not like where I'm from. I spent, I was up there for altogether probably 4 or 5 years.
Well, so in 1978, you landed your first role in a TV show, and I mean, as a young kid growing, I mean, how did first off, how did it happen? How did you wind up? I mean, getting into acting, connecting with the right people. How did it go for you?
Well, it's actually it's a funny story. My mother's agent, she had him for a while. His name was Martin Gage, and he ended up being my godfather. So here's the way the story goes. I'm 10 or 11 years old. All I want to do is race BMX bicycles. Back in the day when they had the old FMFs and the red lines and all that stuff. So it was about $600 for one of those things, which was a fortune back in the day. So it's like, what? I said, how is a kid 11 years old going to come with $600? My mom said, you know what? Why don't you go talk to your godfather and see if he wants to, represent you? Maybe you can go and read. I'm like, okay. So I go and he puts me in for the pilot of Fantasy Island. So what happened was this. I got tricked. There's a really lovely, great guy. This really old casting guy named Hank McCann. And I went in and he says, so you want to be an actor, huh? And I said, no, man, I don't want to buy a BMX bike. Like, I'm just trying to do this. And I wouldn't read for him. I was like, well, no, because look at me. Can I do it or not? Like, well, you have to read for me. He tricks me. He goes, I'll tell you what, you have the part, but we're going to bring sisters in. You have to play your sisters. So I need you to read with the sisters. Oh, okay, I'll do that. But anyway, long story short, I do that. Now all of a sudden it's like, I don't, fine, I get my bike and I'm fine. I don't care about it. And then about 4 years later, I get in this band, and that's what my passion was, to get in the band, and I need to buy a PA system. Now, it's funny and ironic, because I went back to the same casting director for let's see, what was it? It was for, his name was Max Dugan Returns. So I go in for that, and he says, so now you decided to be an actor? No, man, I want to be a rock star. I need a PA system. He goes, you got to be kidding me. So that was the second job. So all of a sudden, I'm batting 1,000 now. And then after that, I was in the band for a while, then kind of was going to high school, to junior high school, and then that's when I decided to go on and do it other thing. Then that's when
Well, in 1984, you wind up in the Karate Kid, one of the most iconic films, certainly of the decade of the 1980s, and then some. I mean, how did you get in touch? Director John Avildsen, obviously, he put together just an amazing group of young actors.
You know what's interesting thing about John Avildsen? I'll tell you, he was hired. He directed Rocky, and after that, he was hired to direct Saturday Night Fever, my uncle's movie.
Right.
And what happened was there was real problems between the two of them. Didn't get along. And John was like, when they shot that famous dancing scene, John Avildsen, the way he was filming it and creating it, he was shooting just like his head from his shoulders up, and it was just looking like his head. He said, this is never going to. So Johnny had this huge argument with him, and said, listen, finally they got an argument. He said, you cannot do this. Like this is like supposed to be. This is a monumental part of this thing. And he's like, Avildsen didn't get it. He was like, well, so they fired John Avildsen. He's gone, and then somebody else came in. I forget to direct it, but John Avildsen, he was an interesting guy. He was a good director, but the Karate Kid really is Rocky. It's the same damn formula. It's the same thing. And I was fortunate. The movies I learned to what you want to do is this: you want to get into a film to where there isn't really big names. At the time, you got Ralph Macchio. It was like, he wasn't like, it wasn't like this. He was with, Robert De Niro or something. It was him and Pat Morita. So they together maybe cost $150 grand. The whole movie only cost like $2.5 million to make. Well, that movie made like $700 some million. It made a fortune. So what happens is, residual wise, that's the kind of movies you want to get. You want to get in something that's really, really big, but costs really, really little, because then there's money left over for the actors and stuff. You don't want people like my uncle in it who gets $20 million and like 10% of the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? If you're just trying to get your, residuals, because that's it. I mean, granted, if the John's in it, and it's going to make a lot of money, it'll be, there's a better chance for it being hit. But some once in a while, you get lucky. Friday the 13th was like that, but Karate Kid by far, Iron Eagle did pretty well. The Karate Kid did just phenomenally well for who was in it. I mean, Lou Gossett was a bigger star than Ralph Macchio was, and it was just, I guess I don't need to ramble on, but that's just my advice to anybody who's out there wanting to be an actor. Find a movie that that doesn't have to have big names in it, but man, if it does well, that's how you retire anyway.
We'll talk about your role in the Karate Kid. I mean, I think your name was Alan. You never, of course, the name never really came out in the film, but you were friends with some of the guys on the beach, playing soccer and all that. I mean, you got Elizabeth Shue, a bunch of hot chicks. I mean, well, how much fun was that to shoot that scene? Of course, you got the Cobra Kais coming on the bikes, Billy Zabka. I mean, at any point, did you ever audition or try to become, maybe one of the Cobra Kais? Because that looked also like a fun gig.
Well, here's the deal. You got to realize something. Before they edited that film was almost 4 hours long. There was like, do you remember the guy that was, I haven't seen it in a long time, but remember Ralph had a guy that was kind of a Mexican kid that was close to him that became like this? Okay.
Freddie,
that guy and almost all of us that were on his side, because the Kubla Khan, they looked like that was going to be anything. We had our own families. Like I had a mother and a father. We all had like families, but all that stuff got edited out because you didn't have to have it to tell a story.
Right.
It became too long. So it was like, that is the way it was. So there's a lot of stuff got edited out of that. So at the end of it, I looked at it. I'm like, truthfully, I mean, other than it being what it is, that isn't even something that if I had to put it on my resume for someone to like look at a tape or anything, it's like I won't even put this shit. I worked on it for 3 or 4 weeks, but I'm in it for like a minute and gone and then back and forth. It wasn't, it's nothing that I'm like. I'm proud of being in it, but it's not like some sort of piece of role or anything. It's anything that I'm like, over the moon about. It wasn't a real challenging thing. Like just, fortunate to get into one of the ones that are just the bill payers.
Well, I just think it's kind of funny, actually, the way it plays out on the beach where, Ralph gets in a fight with Billy Zabka. Billy Zabka beats him up, and like you and your buddy are just like, forget this guy, he's a loser. Like, I mean, you guys had to know that this was, Johnny Lawrence was this stud.
Listen, I won't say it on your radio thing, but we were like real, I can't say a-hole, but I'm saying, I look back at them, I'm going like, what a couple of jackasses.
Exactly.
We had no loyalty whatsoever. We're just like totally fair weather friends who like are just total like, they were total. I'm like, man, I hated me. I'm like, that was the thing, like, yeah, you guys, I just want you to just ignore him at this point. I go, what kind of ass is Chloe? And he's like, well, that's just what I want. And then we went, and we were just as bad as the guys. The guys who beat him had some sort of reason for doing it. We just bailed them, like, it's not worth it. Like, we're only going to upfront kick these or forget it. Leave this guy. I know it sucked. The only guy I know, it was like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, the character was like, just, I don't know. He was just like, cowardly. The court was fun. There was like, there's about as things I've done where I like really liked the characters, got behind him, and it was like completely fun. That is, I don't know what to say. I know the guy was just a jerk. It was like, man.
It's hilarious. Because, like, I mean, Daniel didn't know Johnny Lawrence was this karate, guy. And, like, you guys obviously probably went to high school with Johnny in the Cobra Kai. But yet, just got it. Daniel gets his ass kicked. See you later, buddy. You're an idiot. You guys, I think, show up, though, at the end at the tournament, and you're cheering everybody on, at least. Or at least Freddie was.
We're friends with. We're gonna only show up like when you have a chance to win. Well, like I don't know. It was just the thing. Is funny is I'm actually not in the end. I had to go. I went and did Friday at that point, and I went and did a thing called War Story, which is probably the best thing I was involved with for HBO. It was a Vietnam thing, and I went and shot that. I couldn't come back. I was on vacation, and we were supposed to come back later to shoot. If you look in the audience when they're showing on, I'm not there.
Okay.
I couldn't come back. I was out of the contract, so I stayed where I was. I did Friday, then I did a thing called War Story, and then I went on shooting. I haven't seen my resume. There's so much stuff. Do you remember who Bill Bixby is?
Yeah.
Okay, Bill Bixby, and here's something you never even know. I tried to find on YouTube. We did a pilot for him called Dreams. We were in a rock band. There's another thing called Moving Target, which was Jason Bateman. We're in a rock band. There's like 5 things in a row. I went from being a total jerk to both in a rock band. I've been killed so many times. Summer Camp Nightmare, I get hung, and then I get my neck broken in Phantom Mall. Then I get killed in this. I've been killed. I've been shot, and then Navajo Blues. I was just blew my guts off. It's like for some reason, and I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I didn't see it. But you just walk in and feel like, yes, you'll make a really great a-hole. Like, really? Okay, I guess so. But some are more fun than others.
It's endearing.
It's a bland character, to be honest with you. I mean, I know it's a bigger film to talk about, but other stuff, from an actor's point of view, there's other characters that are just a lot more fun to get into.
Well, there's a guy, I've always wanted to ask about this guy, because, I mean, you were an Iron Eagle, again, kind of a buddy character to some of those guys. And I think Larry B. Scott was in that movie, also Karate Kid. I don't know if you guys crossed paths at all during Karate Kid.
No, Larry, I just saw Larry, I saw him, I don't know, probably 7-8 months ago at a convention. He was there, and it was funny. He had all his pictures from, like, I don't know, from the stuff that he did, what's the stuff that he did, all the college, what was that movie, when he plays the gay guy.
Lamar Luttrell, exactly.
But the thing is, he had all his pictures, and we all have pictures, you know what I'm saying, like the sign, and all of a sudden he goes running over, he goes, dude, do you have any Iron Eagle pictures? I happen to have one with him in it. It was like all of a sudden, he was like gave me half my pictures a good time. But yeah, it was funny. He's a great guy. He's sweet. The people, Billy Zapka, a fabulous guy, wonderful, really great guy, period. Rich Garrison, I mean, everybody, truthfully, man, I never complained. Everybody I've ever worked with was absolutely fun. But on top of it, I'll tell you, the funnest person I ever worked with was in a little movie called My Stepmother's an Alien, and I did it with Dan Aykroyd, and Dan Aykroyd is by far the most amazingly inclusive guy. You just walk up to him and you think, that's Dan Aykroyd, and he was, come into my trailer. You're not going to sell right here on that one. There's no reason, Tom. It's cold out right now. Just come on in my thing. Here's some, I just bought one. He just bought a thing with Stallone of the Rock Store, one of those things where they bought the rocks. I forget, one of those clubs things, or him and Stallone bought one of the, there's one of them they're big. Anyway, but he gave me all these sweatshirts. He was just that guy I've met enough. Everybody ever seen talks about it. I just wanted to let another shout out for Dan Aykroyd, great guy.
He's intelligent, man. He's a genius. That guy's literally a genius. I mean, he's a genius. Well, and what about? I was going to ask you too about Jerry Levine, because Teen Wolf is so amazing, and Jerry Levine has done all this great directing and stuff. But Jerry Levine also was a buddy there in Iron Eagle. Did you get along with him at all?
Jerry's a great guy, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because the last time I saw him was not that long ago. He was directing something on, it was right on the Santa Monica Pier. I was out there, and I'm walking, I'm looking, and all these people are crowded up, and when I see, it's pretty easy to spot what a movie thing looks like. You can see the lights, and most people are attracted to that. And I'm like, oh God, it's all going to be bumper to money. I was just like, go the other way. And then I saw Jerry, and I went up there, and talked to him for a little bit. We exchanged numbers. And I talked to him once or twice, but he's doing great. He's like, it's true. He just kept on rolling, and he just switched over to directing, which is super admirable. I mean, if I would have stayed in LA, I think that's would have been the route that I would have gone. It's a lot. I like just the idea to actually write something and direct the same thing you wrote. There's something great about that, because if you write it and you don't direct it, it ends up you look at it in the film and you're like, I don't even recognize this. Like, what happened? Because for some reason, people just love to change what people write unless they can have control of it to make it their own or something. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you. Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, of course, in 1986, you wind up in Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. And to me, this is the quintessential film of the series. And I don't know what your association, with the series was, before this, but you come into it. Tom McLaughlin, what he put together was almost a almost of a parody of a horror movie. It was such a great, lighthearted fun. The music with Alice Cooper, your look. I mean, Tom McLaughlin, I think it was the best directing job of the whole series.
You know what? I could not speak any higher. Tom McLaughlin was he's a rocker. If you paid him something to, I'm going to see him next weekend. But he plays like in Glendale and Burbank and stuff. He has this band, and that's what he just does. And he's this rocking guy. He's terrific, and it's true. Here's the deal. With that Friday, when I've just talked to fans and things about it, it's their absolute favorite by far, and they love it, or they're like, they don't quite get it, and they're like, well, they just don't like it because it's like funny, and it's been chosen over being horror. Because it's like my daughter, like my kids can see that. I don't even worry about it because it's so tongue-in-cheek. I get stuff that you don't even see that happen, and it's like, it's like there's cartoons that are more violent than that.
Well,
but it is funny. I mean, it is funny. And then having Horseshack, which is a funny story.
Yeah.
The guy, oh my God.
I love it.
Hear a funny story. You want to hear a funny story? God rest him, he's gone now, but Ron Palillo was a very bizarre guy. He was very, stereotyped as Horseshack, from back in the day, and he didn't do a whole lot after that. So what happened was, picture this, we're out in the middle of, this is like right around where we flipped the van overboard. It's like out in that woods where they were doing it. It's night, freezing out. So we're all kind of taking all the trailers, put up the wardrobe trailers there. And this guy kind of looks at me and goes, Tommy, come over here a second. So I go into the wardrobe. He goes, look, if you remember Welcome Back, remember how Ron used to wear those?
Yeah.
Those big, to put the big things over his neck. He had the big, red and white, those big football. He had 4 of them that all matched.
Wow.
And I go, oh my God. So the picture this, so Ron's in his dressing room, and he was really not easy. He wasn't a pleasure to work with. He was very he was very upset with his career. He was pissed off the way it was. And bottom line is, you never want to call him Horseshack. He's like, that's over. So we go and I take one of the scarves and I hang it on his doorknob and I bang on the door and I run. And he opens the door up. What? He's yelling to nowhere. He goes, this is Horseshack is dead. Stop doing this. And then, of course, we got 3 more of them. I'm like, there's no way we can give him out. It's like, I'm not going to do it. People do it. Finally, he's just like, I'm out of here. He's like, I quit this job. And it was a big Tommy goes, it was basically one of the Tom's like this, stop teasing Horseshack. I'm sorry, Ron. And it was like one of those things. It was like, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're taking a ride home for 4 hours. You're still being paid. It's like, what do you mean you quit? Just go back in your bedroom. Or you're back in your dresser. But it was funny on our part. But yeah, he took things really seriously. And it was like, I'm not Horseshack. Like, he's so stereotyped. There wasn't, what can you do?
Oh, God, it's so funny. And I'm sure John, your uncle, would know all about that as well. But, this just looked like such a fun film to work on. And, I thought the music was well done. You kind of fit this great mold of a typical 80s rocker guy. I don't know if you really listen to Alice Cooper in real life, but you played it off really well. Now, Darcy DeMoss, got to talk about her because, Tom, we've had her on the show before. She sends her best wishes. We talked to her about you long ago over the summer. She's just such a lovely woman. I swear to God, I still have a crush on this girl. If you could put in a good word for me, that'd be great. Now, you have a great scene with Darcy in the RV. Were you disappointed about the lack of nudity, though, with Darcy in that scene?
Well, you know what? I could tell you a story, but it's not really, it wouldn't be really appropriate to say. Here's the thing: it's got really something that you don't know. I don't remember she's playing. Darcy and I went to school together, so I knew her. She was a year older than me, and yes, everybody had a crush on her. She was the classiest, most beautiful girl in school. She always looked like she just had an air about her.
Yeah.
She just looked classy. There was other girls that had great bodies and all this stuff, but she had this look that was like she looked like she was 5 years older than everybody else, and she could have been out of high school or junior high. So she had that air about her. I mean, even women felt the same way. They're like, wow, everybody wanted to, be with her or be her friend or whatever. So she was like that. So the interesting thing was I hadn't seen her now. Gosh, I'm thinking, sorry, what year was it? 86. So if I'm 48 right now, 86, 96, 2006, that makes me when I'm 24 or something. I don't know. I'm 48 right now. So wherever I was in 86, I hadn't seen her in 7, 8 years, and maybe even more. So all of a sudden and I had a bigger part than her. I had more scenes than her. So I was already on set. I'd already been there. And all of a sudden, this is the funny thing about that. All of a sudden, I'm sitting there, I'm laying in that bed, because that was our first scene we shot. All of a sudden, she comes walking in. She goes, oh my God, Tommy, shortless, laughing her ass off. Here's the thing that was funny. Picture this. This is the thing. This is where I got screwed. Why is this? So here's the thing. I got boxers on, right? So I'm sitting in boxers. And here's the deal. So Tommy brings me, he puts it on a dolly. Come on, Lindsay, come on. So he puts the camera on a dolly, and he rolls it down the center of the motorhome, right? So he can kind of come by. So now picture you're right at the level of my hip. And as she's jumping up and down me, you could see from the side, you could see the boxers. He goes, man, I'm reading the boxers, dude. I said, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, hey, look. So I said, so now I got to be naked, and she's not going to be naked. He's like, no. So they run and get me a jock strap. So I put a jock strap on. She's making fun of me, she's giving me all this shit, just giving me a hard time. She's going on up, and well, I'm not going to actually say this, but she has that little kind of tube topping on.
Yeah, it's coming off. It's almost coming off.
I believe I just yanked that thing down at some point in time. That ended up in dailies and never ended up in the movie. It was not meant to be enough, right? That's how I don't know that. I just seems like I there I am with a jacked up. It was like going from having fun to being like really. You got cameras like 4 inches from your face. I mean, like right to the lens, the whole like
yeah.
You know, the cover sitting there. And we're going up. If you even moved a little to the right, you'd be smashed into the lens. So there was like there's no privacy. There was nothing like what we were doing at all. That whole situation was crammed and jammed in the back. And but anyway, that was the bottom line with that. So it was fun. But I've done Marcy. Gosh, I've known her since we were like, I think we were 13, 14 years old.
Wow, I didn't know
she's
that.
A great
girl.
Super classy. She's great, and I understand. She's a lover. She really is a great woman, and I respect her. She's very classy, and that's it. I mean, she's a class act.
Yes, she is awesome, and I mean what a great scene in there. And I mean, it's funny because I don't know, it must have been fall or so when you guys filmed this in Covington, Georgia. It's like you went outside the motorhome, you can see her breath. It's cold. Like, it's so funny in these Friday the 13th movies. It's supposed to be summertime, but it's always cold.
Oh, it was freezing. I'm telling you, we were down. It was in. I want to say Savannah, Georgia.
Was it Covington?
It was in Covington. It was either Covington or Savannah. Is it Covington?
Covington, yeah.
Another thing, because I was down in Savannah for another thing that was like one. They went back to back. So it mixes me up because I know Covington ended and I did back to back that, and then it was kind of, I don't know, I forget how it gets kind of when you're in the 80s, you know, the 80s.
Oh, absolutely.
It wasn't designed to be remembered really well in those 80s, you know. So it was definitely fun.
Well, I know you've started doing some of the conventions though, and I know getting to meet some of these fans has to be all fun and also kind of scary at the same time, because I know that a lot of these people they're great people, really passionate about the series. But maybe over the top at times too. What's your been experiences working on some of the conventions?
Okay, no, I kind of lost a little bit. What was the actual the question? What you mean, just what my experience is like there?
Yeah, like just going to the conventions and meeting fans and stuff like that.
Well, I will tell you. You know what? It's a very sweet sorrow with top of the things, and I don't even know how to do this. I don't know if you have any connections in them or not. But what happened is I went to the first one to go into Monster Mania first. It was terrific, man. It was great. I was a little nervous going like, man, this is weird charging people for autographs. I've never done that before. But I realized that everybody who was there, all the other people in the cast had already been there. So these kids would come with their posters filled with everybody's but mine, because I never did it. So there's 10 years of collecting or whatever. So they were really it was a very nice feeling, that popular at the time. But what happened was I did that, and then I wanted to get into Chilla, and the agent that I had, it was really interesting. He said, no, I can't get you into it. I can't get you into it. So I called my mom, and I said, Ma, you want to do one of these with me? Because she's Charles in charge, and she's done all her shows. So we packaged it. So what happened was I went and found another agent who went and pitched us as a couple, and they go, oh, yeah, absolutely, I come. I was like, no problem. So we get there, and the agent that I originally had was sitting across with his other place. I think he was actually with he was with who was talking about from Karate Kid? What's his name? So I got the picture for shoot.
From Larry.
Larry Beast. So Larry Beast, but he's sitting behind him, and he's looking at me, and he's going, wow, congratulations. I'm really happy you're able to get yourself in here. But somehow he felt like I stepped on his toes. And he's like the biggest, I don't know, whatever kind of agents there. They're not like real agents or whatever. So I got kind of blackballed. I couldn't get into it. I've only been to 2 of them. I can't even get into one if I wanted to.
That's bizarre.
I mean, he doesn't want to handle it. He's just, I don't know. The guy's just, I got a new connection who knows a lot of the things, so next year I'll be able to do it. But it was weird. I didn't really keep pushing it, but I thought, man, I loved it.
Yeah,
all kinds of ideas to work with the fans and do different stuff with them.
Absolutely. And in this day and age, fans to be able to have that connection to you guys, I think it's a really cool thing, and I hope that you're able to do that in the future, because you are a very identifiable character from the series. I mean, my gosh. Everybody could probably quote line for line you teaching the children about the Boy Scouting. I mean, that's still one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I mean, was that ad-libbed at all? You saying, hey...
Totally ad-libbed.
That's awesome.
We have an extra minute or so. He goes, here, he threw 2 rocks at me. He said, do whatever you want to do. We're going to get a funny angle of the kids. He goes, I don't know, we'll use it or we won't use it or whatever. He goes, just do whatever you feel like it. It was like 1, 2, 3, go, because we're on our way out. And it just was natural. And the thing that's so funny about it is, it's so funny, man, the editing, because the way the kids' faces look and the way the timing went, it was edited so funny. You don't realize how funny. Just 1 second of a cut that's going one way or the other way can make the difference between it being hysterical and going, wow, if that had just happened a little sooner. But the cutaways, those kids looking down, and I'm just kind of going on. I was like the kids, and they were like the whole sitting there looking down like I was a jackass. It was great. It was just a one-time thing, 1 shot, was boom, 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 made it up, and that was it. And that's nice about Tommy. Tommy was great like that. He said, hey, I hired you. You do this shit, man. Just do it. Excuse my language, but he's just a scope.
I love it. Oh, that's great stuff, man. I tell you what, and a lot of people identify from your work in the '80s, but my gosh, you worked on a couple of your uncle's films. Your uncle, of course, I don't think we even brought it up during this interview. I'm sure people know your uncle is John Travolta, but appeared in Phenomenon and Face Off. I mean, those are big budget movies. And that's a real deal. I mean, you were involved in that. How that had to just feel amazing.
Well, I tell you, the thing is this. This is how it was. I was fortunate enough. See, my name's Fridley. Now, I have cousins that have Travolta names because it's my mom, and then they have, they're my other uncles and stuff. They don't have the fortune. What happens is this. It seems like most people go like, wow, that's really neat, it's really neat. What happens, truthfully, man, is when you're a kid, you end up getting like, I watched my cousins get like totally used, and like people like really didn't want their friends, and they just used them so they could like see if they could get, maybe this was all about bragging rights to be able to, know somebody who was related to John.
Right.
So I was kind of like taken away from that. Bottom line is this: anytime I went for interviews, no one in the industry, like the casting people, did not know I was related to him at the time. Because it's like, if someone else can get this and beat me out of this, I absolutely refuse the idea of doing a job because I got some sort of nepotism going on. And John wasn't a big pusher of that. So the movies I did of his, when I'd show up to them, they were all, one phenomenon was, whenever I show up, he thought I was just coming to meet him for like lunch. They come to meet dinner. I go, no, I'm working. He goes, oh, cool, yeah, you're working. I go through the normal trains, the thing. That's where there were small parts, and I just, pick up what you can pick up. And that was, that was it.
That's so awesome. And I mean, and we were talking off air, and before we let you go, I know I've kept you way too long, Tom, and you've just been so wonderful with your time. But before we let you go, we gotta talk about your new radio show and let our audience know what's up with that.
No, I just started on this. Hold on a second. I'm talking to this. I want to look at my let me get my thing so I can give out the station and what time it is. Here it is. I'm in Las Vegas. So the bottom line is, let me get this up because I'm really excited about this. Here's the bottom line. It's like coast to coast, but this is like it's different. We don't have networks. We can like open a lot more raw with stuff because we don't have that rules and regulations like normal.
Well, lucky you on that one. Lucky you.
I know, and I can't believe I did it to you, and I just did it to you, and I had to watch my mouth because I'm bad sometimes. But the thing is, it's called. I'm going to punch this up so I don't want to screw or mess anything up. So I got to get rid of my mouth. Let me just find my number here. It shows you what this is. Okay, it is. Okay, here's the deal. It is. Bottom line, it is KLAV AM, and that's 12:30.
Okay.
It's 12:30 AM in Las Vegas, and we come out and we're on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're just doing an hour, and it's. I don't know. You just use this because you'll get a kick out of it. You can go and you can. It's been fun experience.
It's absolutely. And I tell you what, Tom, we'll definitely we're gonna find you on there and post it everywhere on our site and get connected. So, and
I'll do the same for you guys, man. I appreciate it because hey, give it a shot. See what you think. I know that I need to learn to slow down because I talk so. I had to listen. I listened to my show the first time this afternoon. Let me tell you, I listened. I was like, oh my god, man, I can't talk that fast. I just looked like. Oh my God, I was like, I don't know, it looks like an oxygen hog. It was like, I talk, and these guys would ask me a question, I would just be on, and I'm like, man, come on, I gotta focus up. But it's interesting. I'm used to acting and having lines and dialogue and doing that. When you're just asked about something you're really, you've got a lot of, if you're really like, you're just completely passionate about it, you tend to just go on, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
It is. It's easy to be critical. It's easy to be critical of yourself. When you hear your voice, it's easy to be critical of yourself. But I'm telling you what, Tom, this is perfect for you. I can tell you that. So. Forever in Vegas, let's connect up and let's make something happen. And I tell you what, we cannot even begin to thank you for your time tonight, Tom. I mean, best of luck in the future. Let's stay connected and let's do this again, my man.
You're so welcome, and thank you so much for your time. So that's great. So you have my phone number now. So let's stay in touch or whatever. And if you're in town and you're getting Vegas, and look me up and we'll go do something. You
betcha, Tom. Hey, take her easy, and we'll definitely connect soon, my man.
All right, thank you so much, you guys.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thanks.